Welcome back to the #1 television show in the history of the universe, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Lonesome Crown, and The Blackest Heart, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I am going to be reviewing The Baker's Boy by J.V. Jones. This is book #1 in her Book of Words trilogy. The first time I read this, I'll tell you, the first time I read this book, I was sitting on my porch. Back when it came out, I bought this right when it came out in 1995, I think it was. And I was sitting on my porch. This was back when I was in college, and I just read it. I read it in one day. I remember I had a free Saturday. I went to the store, bought this book, read it in one day. It was really cool. Haven't read it since then. So this has been a reread, a very interesting reread for me. So let's talk about the trilogy as a whole, the Book of Words, and then specifically this book here and the cover. Let's start with the covers, though. Covers done by Darrell K. Sweet. You might recognize his style he was the original Wheel of Time artist. It's a great cover with a great wraparound illustration. I love everything about it. It's a little awkward, but just typical Darrell K. Sweet. And he did all the covers for the series. I mean, he did the cover for book 2, which also is cool wraparound. He did the series. And this is a really good one. I think that's a really stunning cover there. Just really cool and nice wraparound landscape. But would you put them all together? And we'll try to see if we can. Well, let's just put them all together here on the shelf. And we can see how they look really cool all together. They've got a matching style to them. It looks really nice. So the publisher did a really good job of making them look cool on the bookshelf together. And most importantly, if you turn them, their spines, it looks like a series that belongs in a trilogy. They all match up. That's pretty cool. Good job, publisher, for not fucking that up. All right. I have met J.V. Jones. You know, a lot of these authors I meet. And I met J.V. Jones back in about 1997, back when I was doing cover art for Dungeons & Dragons and the Magic the Gathering. And I went to a convention to pimp out my artwork to different publishers, and I met J.V. Jones, and it was when this book came out, The Barbed Coil, and so I bought a copy of this book at the convention, and I did have J.V. Jones sign it for me right there. So, you know, I always show off my signed books. That's the only book of hers that I've got signed, and I've got several series that she's written. Anyway, let's get to the book. Okay, we've wasted 3 minutes just on me talking about peripheral things about the book. Starts out, this is a great book. This is a classic fantasy novel with the orphan sort of farm boy with a destiny trope. Although in this case, he's a baker's boy. He works in the castle in the bakery, and you know, he's of negligible parentage. In fact, his mother is a hoe. And, I mean, literally, his mother is a hoe. And he gets teased for it a lot. And that's sort of one of the things that he has to kind of deal with throughout the series. The prologue, we get a character named Borealis. And already we know from the get-go that Borealis is going to be the antagonist throughout the story, because this book starts out very, very harsh and grim with 2 evil acts that Borealis commits. One involving an unconscious queen. I'll just let you figure that out on yourself. And another involving his own mother. And so if you can get past the triggering prologue, because it is one of the more brutal prologues in all the fantasy books I've read. If you can get past that, you're in for a treat of a fantasy series. Like I said, Jack the baker's boy, an orphan, mother a hoe. Everyone teases him about that. However, he's got magic secrets of his own. Like, he can perform little miracles, and so he's trying to figure that part of his life out also. Now, they live in this castle with the princess with Borealis, the evil guy, and Lord of the Castle. And then we've got Melly, his daughter, who is our second main character, and she is betrothed to a fellow named Tylock, Prince Tylock, who is he's just a sinister mother effer, this Tylock guy. She don't want to get married to this dude, so she runs away with the help of Jack. So now they are on the run from the castle. Okay, so that starts our plot off right there. And then we've got another character named Tawl, T-A-W-L, and he is a knight. He is a guardsman of the castle, and he's kind of got his own issues, and he ends up going on a separate quest to the Isle of Larn, where he finds some pretty twisted secrets of his own out there, and I'm not going to spoil that for you. But these four sort of different storylines. Let's see, we've got the Borealis storyline, the evil lord, Jack and Melly, the runaway kids, and then Tawl, the knight that goes on a quest. But they're all their stories that kind of interweave together delightfully. There's just some delightful, quirky commentary on all of these things that are happening by these two castle-dwelling people named Bodger and Grift, who just about every fifth chapter we get Bodger and Grift's opinions on what's happening in the story. And it's kind of cool and kind of cleverly done, and I really give J.V. Jones props for doing that, because yeah, they were delightful to listen to what they had to say about everything, because they're just these two wacky dudes living in the castle. Anyway, I'm going to read the back of it just so you get a better sense of it. And just keep in mind, the writing in this is, this was her first novel ever. It's pretty good for a first novel. You feel like you're in a medieval setting. I really kind of compare this to maybe like what something Catherine Kurtz would have done, if you've read her Doreen books. Anyway, so let me read the back of this and to give you a better impression of what's going on. Okay, so at vast Castle Harvel, where King Lesketh is dying, two fates collide. In her regal suite, young Melly, the daughter of an influential lord, rebels against her forced betrothal to the sinister Prince Kylock. In the kitchens, an apprentice named Jack is terrified by his sudden, uncontrollable power to work miracles. Together they flee the castle, stalked by a sorcerer who has connived for decades to control the crown. And this sorcerer has committed supernatural murders to advance his schemes. This also includes a young knight beginning a quest, leaving behind his home and family to seek out the treacherous Isle of Larn, where lies a clue to his desperate search for the truth. So, wondrous epic of magic and betrayal. Yes, it is. It's cool. I liked it. Like I said, when I first read this, back in the 90s when it came out, read it in one sitting on my front porch, one Saturday, loving every word of it. My reread, I'll be honest, I didn't remember jack squat from that first reading, because that was like 27 some odd years ago. My reread of this, every bit as delighted as the first time, dialed back a little bit. I mean, maybe just because I've read so much more, and back then this was like super dope, and maybe nowadays it's like kind of super cool. I give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. I definitely think every person who likes fantasy will like something in this. And it's definitely, if you want to read some classic 1990s-esque fantasy, you can, look no further than this. It's really good.